In the mid-1920s, the streets of Soviet Russia carried a strange mixture of hope and unease. Markets buzzed again after years of civil war. Posters promised a radiant socialist future. Workers queued for bread, children played in courtyards, and trains rolled across a country still healing from revolution. But behind ordinary scenes, a quieter story was unfolding, one that few fully understood at the time. A man named Joseph Stalin was slowly, patiently, tightening his grip on power. He did not yet dominate headlines the way he would later. To many he seemed almost unremarkable, soft-spoken, watchful, often standing slightly apart in photographs. But inside party offices, his influence was growing in ways that felt almost invisible. Stalin had become General Secretary of the Communist Party, a position that sounded administrative, even dull, yet it allowed him to control appointments, promotions, and access, deciding who rose, who stalled, and who quietly disappeared from influence. Colleagues sometimes joked that Stalin was like a librarian of power, carefully filing away loyalties. But others whispered something darker. They noticed how he rarely forgot an insult, how he listened more than he spoke, how conversations with him could feel strangely probing, as if every word might be remembered later. In these years, gossip flowed through party corridors like cigarette smoke. After Lenin's death in 1924, the question of succession became the central drama of Soviet politics. Publicly, leaders spoke of unity. Privately, alliances shifted with quiet urgency. Leon Trotsky, brilliant and charismatic, was widely seen as Lenin's natural heir, yet Stalin worked methodically behind the scenes, building coalitions, isolating rivals, and presenting himself as a modest servant of the party. Some insiders later recalled a chilling detail. Stalin often appeared calm during disputes, even gentle, while quietly collecting support that would later prove decisive. Outside political circles, life carried its own peculiar atmosphere. The new economic policy allowed small businesses and street trade to return, creating scenes of lively markets alongside propaganda banners declaring the triumph of socialism. This contrast, commerce and ideology, gave cities an almost surreal character. In cafes and communal apartments, people spoke carefully. Everyone knew that words could travel. Rumors spread about informants, sometimes exaggerated, sometimes real. A careless joke about party leaders could lead to uncomfortable questions. Letters were occasionally opened. Conversations paused when strangers entered rooms. Though the Great Purges was still years away, a subtle culture of caution was already forming. Meanwhile, Stalin cultivated an image of simplicity. He dressed plainly, avoided theatrical speeches, and projected steadiness. Some comrades found this reassuring. Others found it unsettling, as if his quietness concealed deeper calculations. Stories circulated about late-night meetings in smoke-filled offices where political strategies were debated in low voices. Decisions made in these rooms would shape the fate of millions, though few outside ever knew. In photographs from the period, Stalin often stands among other leaders, expression controlled, gaze steady. It is the look of someone observing, measuring. There were also more personal whispers. Party members noted Stalin's intense loyalty to close associates, combined with sudden coldness toward those who fell out of favor. Friendships could shift quickly, creating an atmosphere where trust felt fragile. Some described his humor as dry, sometimes cutting jokes that hinted at deeper tensions beneath the surface. Across the country, the Soviet experiment continued with grand ambitions. Factories expanded, literacy campaigns spread, and cultural life pulsed with revolutionary enthusiasm. Artists and writers imagined bold new futures, even as political winds quietly shifted. Yet beneath the optimism lay a growing sense that power was consolidating. By 1926, Stalin had successfully outmaneuvered key rivals, positioning himself as a central figure in party leadership. The changes were gradual enough that many did not fully grasp their significance. History would later look back on these years as the calm before a storm. Walking through Moscow at the time, one might have seen ordinary scenes: tramcars clattering, newspapers sold on corners, workers heading home through winter streets. And somewhere, perhaps in a government building lit late into the night, Stalin continued his patient work, reviewing reports, weighing loyalties, shaping decisions. There were no dramatic declarations, no sudden takeover, just a steady accumulation of influence. For those who sensed it, the feeling was subtle but unmistakable, like a shift in the air before a long winter. In the years to come, the consequences of these quiet maneuvers would become impossible to ignore. But between 1923 and 1926, the story remained mostly hidden, written not in headlines, but in whispers, glances, and the slow turning of political machinery. A silent transformation was underway, and few yet understood how profoundly it would change the course of history.